Welcome everyone, BJ Waller with you for the 51st episode of the Tyrian Adventures. And here we have Auric the Scarab Hunter, which gives us a little bit of insight to Kefit, Queen of the Scarabs, who we fought in the last episode. Not to worry, we killed her. Of course, I believe she was put in to stop the 55 monk farming going on in that area down there, Griffin farming. It was so long ago.
South, didn't they? Loop around. I just see the way it doesn't matter. This way.
Bing bang. Bing. Bang. Thing. Fang. Excellent. Uh-oh, here they come. Again, that is Kefit. There's the Hydra pulse. Oop. that. That's getting aggravating. was a chest back there, wasn't there? Okay, that's the rest of Profil's path. Excellent. And to the salt flats. Oh, how lovely. That just sounds fabulous. Yeah, I remember this area. This was quite a pain in the butt. God, this is awesome in here. Okay, so we don't have to run down there right now. Bing, bang, boom, boom. Oh, there's another outpost here, isn't there? Wow. Ah, Seeker's Passage. Guess that's supposed to say Salt Flats. Oh, sure, why not? It would be my honor. let's see what we're looking at here. So he's right there. And ancient secrets is way over there. So it appears this guy is closer. But first, let's go complete that other one, shall we? No problem. Okay, so which we do not want. Yes, we're not going to be trying a trapper. What was that? Gifts the vengeance. There it is. And so there are a couple more general outposts in here. God, it's been so long since I've been here. I don't even think the Wayfarer's Reverie takes us into the Crystal Desert, that I recall. Or maybe it does for that statue that collapses. Alright, so what are we going to do here? I suppose I can just keep going and clear out the northern path and work my way back down. I guess we'll do that. In which case, probably run into him first. Or then again, maybe not. We'll see. How's it going, Zyro East? Welcome to the stream. Hydras, I remember this very well. Now, these collectors actually used to be useful before the runes and insignias. Separate parts of the armor. Oh, it's a-going. The usual wall scraping. Freaking Canberra, come on. Oh, it is a boss. Ugh, killing me. Oh, except for those guys. Yes, I actually used to use the armor collectors for the most part. The ones that offer, like, the offhands and the weapons generally weren't as useful because you could almost always find drops that were as good or, if not better, just from general exploration and killing of mobs. But the armor collectors tended to be, such as this, one step ahead of the actual crafters in the area. Before, because right now what am I in, 60? I think I'm in 60. Which I just upgraded, yeah, 61. Upgraded before I got to the desert. I upgraded this, yeah, the one armor guy. I think that's out in the explorable area, if I recall correctly, a few episodes ago, in South Kryta. So, of course, 70 is the max for Rangers. So back in the day, it was useful to be able to upgrade your armor via the collectors when you ran across them for some base, just some base armor. And then the actual crafters would craft the armor with set stats. And much like the mask, actually. I think the masks sort of retain... So, of course, I've got the Beast Mastery rune in there. But the mask, the Tamer mask, of course, comes with the base Beast Mastery stats. But the level 70 armor collector I don't run into, I don't think, until the Southern Shiver Peaks. Yes, because that's where the elite armor starts. So using the collectors back in the day, it actually could be a little bit of a helping hand. Now, of course, since the update from way back when separated stats from the armor, more or less, and made use of the runes and the insignias, armor collectors aren't quite as useful anymore. because you can, obviously by their armor, it cannot be upgraded, as it's stated, the runes and insignias. So it's often better to run with a little bit less armor and get a boost to your stats, how you want, as you want your stats. Basically, the changes made just so players could have their choice of what armor they want to wear with what stats. As it was originally, you could only get a certain set of armor, like I am currently wearing the Drake's Skull. This would come with a predetermined set of stats that was different from all the other Ranger armor. So if I actually wanted to wear this, I might have to accept stats that weren't particularly useful to the build or the skills I was using as my Ranger. So the update actually allowed us to wear the armor we wanted, and the runes and insignias would give us the stats that were more suited to the build we were using. Exactly. Yeah, because basically playing as a noob, you would use a lot of these drops that weren't quite useful and just break them down with salvage kits and get your materials. And now I don't need to use the transporter. Yes. Now more or less everything's just vendor trash, since, alt upon alt has collected everything we've needed. Ay, caramba. Yes, exactly, yeah. I mean, not many people remember this, unless, of course, you were one of those who has been playing since the launch of the game. But even just using even the skills here, we actually used to be able to update these out here in explorable areas. Like right now, obviously I can't update anything in an explorable area, but there, originally as the game was designed, we could actually change our stats and our skills on the fly in explorable areas. And we did that by use of, there was something called refund points or something, I forget what exactly they were called, but there was a set of 24 points you could use, or you could accumulate by exploring and killing mobs. And you would use those points to be able to reset your stats and skills. But that came in, that was updated rather early in the game. I think within the first 6 months they changed that to where actually, and you use that, it was not just in the field, but that was the system that you used in order to change your build, essentially. To change your stats and stuff. You had to use the refund points. And that was changed, as I said, like in the first 6 months or so of the game, to where now you could change your stats on the fly in an outpost, change them to your heart's content. But of course the limitation is that you can no longer change them out in explorable areas. So that gave a lot of flexibility with being able to experiment with builds, whereas before you were sort of limited to picking one build and sticking with it, because it took a while to accumulate those refund points if you turned out you didn't like a certain stat or something. Yes. Yeah, and yeah, changing your builds. Yep, or your Senki. Yeah, your Senki class. You can actually still do that. As a matter of fact, I think you can actually do that after you ascend here. After you run through the missions and ascend, it actually allows you to be able to change your secondary class. But they also did update that to make it a little bit easier. Of course, now with the Battle Isles and the Great Temple of Balthasar, there's actually an NPC there that allows you to change your class on the fly. Whereas, of course, with Prophecies here, you actually had to play through, 75% of the game, then ascend before you can actually try out a secondary class. Indeed. Is there something I can craft for you? I don't think so. Let me see. No, I don't really need any of this stuff right now. Perhaps next time. So good. That's done. Ancient secrets. Now we do have for Blade Betrayal. This one is out. Got Reach. I might as well, so I don't think we can loop around in there. Actually, I think the first mission outpost is around here somewhere. There is even more dreadful than old Ascalon with these continual pop-ups. I can actually run down this way, can't I? Without having to use the transporter. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, with factions and Nightfall, you actually did the quote-unquote Ascension quests much earlier in the campaign. To speed things up a bit. Again, out of all three of the campaigns, obviously, Prophecies is the most, is the largest, I should say. In terms of exploration and just general gameplay area of the game. So hence that, and I guess the original intent, obviously, because at the time Endgame was PvP, there were really no elite areas or raids or anything like that in this game, besides the Underworld and Fisher of Woe, which of course were tied to PvP matches. So the end result of the game was to try to get you to work towards playing PvP once you finish the PvE campaign. And of course, to do that, it would, you know, the natural course of things is to pick a build and become familiar with how the build works and the ins and outs of the builds and stuff like that. So that's why it didn't seem like a big deal to lock you into a certain build through much of the PvE campaign. Yeah, indeed. I think, yeah. Even though they did have a full year to work on factions, obviously the original intent was to release a campaign every 6 months, but of course, you know, until ArenaNet saw... Is it Diviner's Ascent? I don't think that's the outpost. That's the actual explorable area. Yeah, that's not the outpost, so we do not want to go in there. So while they had several years to work on Prophecies, obviously, once they realized that Guild Wars was a hit, and it was time to start working on the next campaign, you know, they only had probably, at most, maybe a year and a half if they started working on factions before the actual release, which I don't think they did. So, if anything, they started working on factions within a month or so after Guild Wars was released, and they were going to be able to make sure they had the funding. So, essentially, what, a year to work on factions. And really Nightfall, a year and a half of Nightfall, depending on when they actually started production on that one. Because at the time they did have two teams. One would make one campaign for a year, and the other one would make the other campaign for a year. And obviously the releases would just be staggered by 6 months to get the 6 months release date. So yeah, I mean, out of the 3 campaigns, you can obviously tell that the first one had the most development time and the most polish to it. And they recaptured a little bit of that with Nightfall. But still, all in all, of course, I think, you know, from my point of view, and I think from a lot of Guild Wars fans' point of view, Prophecies is their favorite campaign. Again, as I've mentioned throughout this series, I mean, part of that, I mean, for me, being an explorer and type of RPG player where exploration is one of the main draws of it, you know, just being able to have that free, open, explorable world within, of course, the confines of the theme park nature of the game, and, you know, the linear type areas, you know, each being instanced off. You know, this game still allows you the most freedom to explore at how you want, with only a certain couple of areas requiring you to complete a mission in order to access them. Whereas, of course, Factions is the most limited in that sense, where you had to follow the linear storyline and missions in order to reach, you know, each new area. Okay, so yep, I can go down there, and there's that corner there. Alright. That works out quite well. I think that'll give me just enough time to get there before we have to call it an evening. Oh yeah, that was, you know, that's one of the other things. I mean, story-wise, I mean, I guess a lot of people felt they were, you know, generic stories. I mean, even with the prophecies, it's like, you know, it's basically five different overriding stories almost in this thing. It gets to the point where you're here in the desert, you almost forget what the original story was about. So first it's the Char, the bad guys. You're fighting the Char on and on through, of course, the tutorial area and that kind of stuff. And then once you reach the Shiver Peaks, the Char are kind of forgotten about. And then it's, you know, the dwarves you're fighting. And then once you get out of the Shiver Peaks, it's, you know, the Shining Blade you're fighting until you realize that the White Mantle are the bad guys. And then, you know, from this point on, really, it's the White Mantle are the bad guys until, of course, the big reveal once we get to the southern Shiver Peaks. Yeah, I think in Factions, yeah, the least favorite area, just because it just, you know, it just didn't, I mean, to me, it just didn't look good artistically. Style was, of course, the city. I mean, Factions, I think my favorite area was the Jade Seed, because that had more, you know, more, it just looked better to me. And even, you know, the forest section, you know, was just all dull, drab, and gray. At least the Jade Seed, you had some color to it. And of course, there were the one interconnecting area between the two, right after the city. We got some grassy bits, but I mean, outside of Xing Island, yeah, there wasn't too much to look at. Yeah, because even with the story, at least with the main NPC characters, you know, Devona and Sin, Menlo, Aiden, all those guys, you know, they were a somewhat integral part of the storyline here for Prophecies. You had people that you interacted with in the tutorial, you know, you interacted with these characters in the tutorial area. Of course, afterwards they sort of more fell by the wayside, but you still felt, for the most part, through at least up through the Shiver Peaks and stuff like that, and working with Rurik, you know, the NPCs were an integral part of the story that you followed along with. Of course, with Factions and Nightfall, I mean, not so much. They really didn't have, besides. Oh, what's his name? I just had it on the tip of my tongue, but the main guy. You basically only get the main guy in Factions, of course, until he gets killed off at the end. And in Nightfall, you really didn't have, I mean, besides Cormyr, again, not really anybody to follow. Or to feel, you know, part of a bigger storyline. No, not sure. What was it? The Ritualist guy. Who's Menlo's friend. And it's not like he's not a big part of Factions or anything, and he helps you. I want to say Tengu, but that's the creature. Yeah, Nightfall of Varesh is the bad guy. But yeah, really with Nightfall and Factions, you get the one main bad guy throughout the whole story, whereas here, you know, we have several foes we're fighting throughout the course of the game. Master Togo, that's it, Togo. really, oh, I wanted to go. Oh no, you know what? There's a transporter back there. Is that? I went too far. I need to go back to that transporter. I'm getting distracted here, but yes, one of the things that I felt was lacking with Nightfall and Factions is that, you know, the main characters from here basically turn, you know, there's no story with them in the new campaigns. You essentially get them as henchmen, and that's it. I need to go up that way. I will say, at least for Nightfall and Factions, that you know, with Cormyr and with Master Togo, you know, they have a more active role in the storyline there. Whereas, again, you know, with Sin, Aiden, and the rest of the guys here, they, you know, after the first, you know, part of the game, essentially, they really don't have that much of an active role. And of course, you know, Rorik was the main person you're following through that point in time too, but then he's killed. Until the big reveal at the end. Okay. But one of the things that I always thought seemed backwards to me, line-wise. Right, he's right here, isn't he? Are in fact the Ascension missions. And here, you know, again, just because, you know, obviously because Prophecies was, you know, so long in development, more polished and everything like that, we have basically this whole area dedicated to the Ascension quests, and this thing, you know, about, you know, becoming more powerful by becoming ascended here, or at least having that idea. And basically, all you're doing is just to kill some undead guy. Nightfall, you know, you're doing it to kill some undead guy who actually, before you get to kill him, becomes mortal again anyway. And then in Nightfall, you're doing it just to kill some bugs, or to, you know, or you're killing some bugs in order to be able to take on the god. So I always felt that was a little backwards, to where, you know, you're taking on a god in the final campaign, but all you have to do in order to take him on is just kill some bugs in some cave, and that's it. So I always thought it was just a little backwards. Perhaps we should be killing the bugs here in Prophecies, and we should be doing all these Ascension quests to take on Abaddon in Nightfall. Okay, good. I'll take your silver ring. Sure, no problem. So that's the one thing I didn't like about Factions, or not Factions. Factions had a pretty decent. I mean, the mission, the single mission you take to ascend, what I thought was a pretty neat mission. But yeah, Nightfall is completely disappointed in their quote-unquote ascension quest. It was essentially what it boiled down to. I thought they should have spent more time on something a little bit more spectacular. Okay, good. So we got this little corridor cleared out here. So that just leaves those bits there. I might have enough time, let's see. Looks like that might be a transporter there, let's see. Oh, the statue of Glint. As a matter of fact, that's what I want to go see anyway. Oh, and we got a boss too, so we'll kill him. I think we'll kill you first, then. That's where having minions in this part comes in handy with all these freaking trappers. Yeah, you're pretty much right there. It's basically just the mission so you can play around with secondaries and stuff like that, essentially. No placard. No. Like, we found Glint. Because we've run into all the freaking traps. Alright, so no, we can't go that way. Takes us to... Oh, that takes us back to... yeah, because we've been down this path. This is how we first came up, isn't it? Yes. Yeah, but I actually do want to go this way. Knew there was a reason for it. Yeah, because with so many different builds and stuff like that, I mean, if you're playing for efficiency and that kind of thing, you know, you only had a certain set of secondary professions that would work in harmony with your primary profession. Nowadays, of course, you know, it's whatever. Like with, you know, Zarafen here, and like most of my ults is just like, yeah, let me pick something that sounds like it'd be fun to play with, play around with. Who cares about efficiency and effectiveness? Back then, just being able to change secondaries, and again, you know, that update allowed us to not require the refund points in order to even change our stats. You know, much needed. Because, I mean, essentially before that change, you're pretty much stuck with, okay, I've got to restart a whole new character because the build I essentially chose sucks. Guild GW2? No, I have not played that. I played, you know, I played the initial betas and a couple of the stress tests, but it was just not, to me, I felt it was too much a departure from what I liked about this game, to where I didn't think it was a terrible game, but to me it wasn't the type of Guild Wars 2 game I wanted to play. I found it, you know, to me, when Colin Johansson made the statement, you know, we took everything you liked about Guild Wars, put in Guild Wars 2, I said, not really. You pretty much left everything out I like about Guild Wars from Guild Wars 2. I thought, you know, some of the concepts and stuff they were trying to do were pretty good. But to me, it's just, it just didn't appeal to me. So I figured, at that point, you know, which would I rather be playing? I'd still rather be playing, obviously I'd still rather be playing this, since I decided to dedicate a whole, you know, a whole video series to playing a whole new character from scratch. And just going through that leveling experience again, you know, just for fun of it. So to me, Guild Wars will always be the better of the superior of the two Guild Wars games. Although now that it is free to play in some aspects, it is tempting to go ahead and give it a try now that they've gone through, you know, what is it, a year and a half, almost two, is it 2 years now? 2.5 years? Of updates and changes. I mean, the one thing, though, that didn't appeal to me about Guild Wars 2 was sort of that living story and the concept of, hey, we're going to do a lot of this one-off content to where if you miss it, well, you miss it, it's gone. So that never appealed to me because, you know, one of the things I liked about Guild Wars, it being, you know, an MMO, so to speak, is that even if you couldn't, you know, play for a certain point of time, you really didn't miss out on anything. The only things that you know, would miss out on would say the festival events, which occur once a year. But you wouldn't miss out on any, you know, major gameplay experiences. If you found yourself, you know, where you decide to take a month off or something like that. So that's one of the things that didn't appeal to me about Guild Wars 2 as well when they came up with the concept of the living story and that kind of stuff. I said, well, there's a couple of weeks where I can't play due to, you know, whatever reason, really. It's like I get to miss all this content. It's like, why would, you know, why is that fun to me? You know, to me, that's not fun. I want to be able to play a game based on my time frame and the time I have available, and not have that playtime be dictated to by the game or the developers. Again, it was one of those concepts where when they started talking about it, I said, yeah, you know, that's an interesting idea. But again, one of those concepts where, yeah, I don't think that's really going to work. It sounds good in theory, but it's probably not going to work in practice. I mean, just like the dynamic events, that was the big thing they were touting during development, was these dynamic events that would change the game world, this and that. And right off the bat, I said, yeah, but I mean, perhaps if the game was being designed as Guild Wars 1 was, with the instanced areas and that kind of stuff, yeah, I could see that working on a grander scale, or the type of scale that they were talking about. But in the open world design that they had for Guild Wars 2, it just, I mean, just when you thought about logically, it's not really going to work in the way a lot of people thought it might or should work. You can't really have permanent dramatic changes to the game world that would affect somebody who, you know, started the game 6 months later, is still going through these starter areas, or some area that might be vital to quests or something like that. But yeah, Dexter, you are indeed correct. Guild Wars 2 just didn't have that, ultimately didn't have that feeling to me. You know, I said in the forums back in the day that, you know, perhaps if Guild Wars 2, if there was no Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2 was a completely new standalone game, it would probably be something I would have enjoyed playing a lot more. But with, of course, the baggage of Guild Wars 2 that came before it, it just didn't do it for me, ultimately. This portal here now, is this Skyward Reach? No, I'm pretty sure that is an explorable area as well. Yes, Skyward Reach. So, alright, we're good. I got through... So, okay, so that's part of the other area then. So we'll head back to Sika's, complete the quest, and we'll call this an evening. Ooh, interesting. A lot of these skills that never used and just forget about. Okay, I think I've done all that I can for today. I still have not, so I guess... You know, I think, if I remember right, this is a Lone Reach up here, is the mission area up there, so that has got to be that away. So it'll be next time that we try to finally reach into one of these explorable mission areas, or reach the mission areas. So I think we'll come out of Augury Rock next time we do Skyward Reach. But anyway, thank you everyone for joining us for this evening's live stream event, or morning, afternoon, night, whatever the case may be, wherever you are. Ah, there's a clever name, Recycling Stud. Har har. So, until next time, it's BJ Waller saying thanks for watching, thanks for joining us, and until next time, I will see you in-game.